By this point, I'd finished the seat frame and the legs. I knew what I wanted. I then online purchased some canvas material, which was at first I wanted to use leather, but it's just ridiculously expensive, and I can never afford. Because I like to use recycled materials, so I went for cheap canvas. As I had a coat, which had sort of the natural feel I wanted, and I put the two together, and I thought they looked cool, so I went and bought some canvas. This is me just making a paper template of what I wanted. It turned into more of a sling deck chair kind of thing. It turned out alright, and it's real comfy. I got the first paper template wrong, which is why I'm really glad I made one, rather than just going ahead and going straight for the fabric. That would have been a real waste. I wasn't really sure what I wanted, and I had to get one of my textiles friends to help me, as I'm not really too sure what I'm doing in that workshop. And she helped me with the template, along with many other things. So I made another one, this time marking all the various points, what I wanted, and all the lines. I left allowances for returns and folding the edge over, because I knew I wanted to double stitch each seam to give it a bit more strength than normal. So I did that and folded it over, and then to keep the width of the chair, to still give support, I had to, but be within the range of the two legs. I had to fold the corners in. This was sort of like the top of a milk carton. That's what the kind of thing I was thinking about when I made it. So I folded those in, and then this is me pinning the template to the piece of fabric. I left allowances for enough room for the returns. I took a lot of pins, but it was real nice. I used then a fabric chalk to mark all the way around, and then a 10mm return on each one. This is actually quite similar to metalwork, and I kind of related to this quite easily. It's all manipulating materials to make another shape, which is I found quite interesting, the link between the two. I then cut out the corners, again like you'd do in metalwork. This means you can fold it in without having to shrink the material. I don't know how you do it with fabric, but in metal it could be done. I then using the steamer, I steamed all the corners, folded over. This meant that when I stitched it together, I didn't have to use pins, and they would stay where they were. I left too much excess on one, so I had to trim it back a little bit. But then I went ahead and started sewing. This is only the second time I've been on the sewing machine, so I'm still not really sure what I'm doing, but I really enjoyed it. My time in textiles, and I look forward to doing something like that in the future. So I went along, following the edge of the fabric. Worked quite well. It's not the straightest line, but I was quite happy with it for my skill level. I did have to ask for some help at some points. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Then went back again, did the same, but offset it by about 5mm. This, I think, just leads for a nicer aesthetic and a stronger stitch. I wanted it to be a functioning chair, as function is at the heart of everything I make. So the double stitch meant that it would support the weight of a human. once set off, the machine does a lot of the work for you, and I was surprised at how easy it was. I'll definitely do more of this in the future. I then trim back to the second stitch, leaving about 5mm of room. This just neatens up the edge and makes for a much nicer finished product, I think. This couldn't have been done before stitching, as I wasn't sure where the lines were, but it worked. So I bought the fabric as a white canvas and wasn't too happy with the colour. So I decided to dye it. I wanted quite a light, natural look to it, very similar to the hat that I was wearing at the time. That was the aim that I wanted the final outcome to be. So I went through a lot of steps trying to figure out. At first it was far too strong, as I put far too much in, so I had to go back, pour it out, add more water, and I repeat that process. As you can see from the sample, really strong, vibrant colour, and just wouldn't have fitted what I was looking for. So again, back to it, sample, and then pour it out and add more water. This led to quite a bleached look. What I didn't account for was that I hadn't washed this test piece of the fabric, and according to my tutor, it has chemicals in it which repel stains. So it actually turned out lighter, which is very lucky. The final stain was just painted on my hand with a brush. As you can see here, this is much lighter, and I really liked it. Wherever I got a concentration of too much colour, I just went over with just a water brush, and it evened the colour out. Now that when it dried, it dried a fair bit lighter. So it was only really a little stain just to give it a bit of substance to it. I wish I'd bought the right colour in the first place, but I didn't know that at the time. And this turned out alright. I did both sides, making sure I had an even coat, and throughout the creases. I had to leave this to dry for 24 hours.